Hey guys, Ferg here. Normally when I'm posting videos, I'm playing drums, but we're gonna do something a little bit different. As you see, I've got an easel with a canvas set up on it. I've got my little palette here. Got a bunch of different colors, and what I want to do is a landscape painting, you know, kind of like what Bill Alexander and Bob Ross made famous and popular. On my channel, I mean, I want to do a little bit of everything, so hopefully you guys will stick around and watch. All right, first thing I want to do, I want to put in a sky color. I'm going to grab a little bit of ultramarine here. Now these are not Bob Ross paints. These are Gambling 1980. Let's see how this looks. And I'm not using expensive brushes by any means either. These are actually, I think that this is just no tip brush that I got from Hobby Lobby. Only cost a couple of dollars, so like this is a hobby that you want to get into, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Let's swirl that up and get nice and solid. And of course you want the sky to be a bit darker at the top. You want it to get light as it goes down to the horizon. And I try to use not a whole lot of paint, you know, because it's a lot easier to add more paint to get more color than it is to take it off. It's a real pain in the ass whenever you have to go at it with a paper towel or something. But you also want to leave kind of some empty spaces in there. You don't want it to be just one solid color going from top to bottom, because it'll look like 8-bit Nintendo or something. It won't look good. Let's try this brush out right here. This one's a little bit better. I just wanted to test out that little cheap one I bought. This one here cost a few dollars more, but it seems to do a little bit better. Doing our sky color here. We got a little hair stuck on it. And I think it looks pretty good. Maybe we'll have some water in it, maybe not. I don't even know what we're gonna paint, guys. I just throwing the color up here for now. We'll see what happens. And take a little bit of Prussian blue here. I'm gonna darken these corners up a little bit. Now, Prussian blue is real strong, so you don't have to use a whole lot of it. I would recommend, if you're gonna get Prussian blue out on the brush, that you just take a tiny little bit, because it's super strong. All right, looking a little bit better. Now, let's wipe out these brush marks the best we can. Give it a good scrub. Scrub in nice. Just like that. Decent looking little sky. All right. Yeah, sit this down and get out a fan brush. And I want to make some clouds, so I'm going to grab some titanium white here. And you want to load a whole lot. I mean, you can see there's quite a bit right there on these bristles. All right. Now, when you're making clouds, I know anybody who's ever used to watching Bob Ross, you know, he has his way of making clouds with a fan brush. Me, I just kind of pop them in at random like this, you know, swirl your brush around. And one thing you want to do too, when you're using any brush really, and you're wanting to go back into your white, I recommend cleaning your brush off, because you don't want to go up there with a dirty color or a dirty brush. Sorry. Yeah, you don't want to get in there with a dirty brush, because you want to keep this kind of bright the best you can anyway. Now wipe that back off. You want to make sure you get as much of that thinner off as possible too, because you put that thinner up there, it will absolutely tear your sky up that you just made. All right, that ought to be good right there. Not looking for a whole lot as far as clouds go. I don't want to spend a ton of time working on them. All right, we'll clean off this 2-inch brush. And something I picked up from Hobby Lobby too, it comes in pretty handy, is they have these little jars here, just called a brush tank. I think I paid 12 bucks for it, and it actually comes with a little screen in there too. So I think you got to pay quite a bit more to get like the Bob Ross brand. I live here in Louisville, Kentucky, and nobody, and I mean nobody around anywhere has any kind of Bob Ross products. So you got to do what you can find. Then I've got a 5-gallon bucket set up there with a, I bought a, like a little corner rack from Aldi, and I just stuffed it down in there, you know, clean your brush off with. With these clouds, I'm just gonna come here and kind of swirl it up a little bit, just like so. And then just do this number here. Real light like that. Go across, and there we go, that quick. We got some clouds. Let's fluff that up a little bit better. Like I said, I don't want a ton of detail in the clouds. I just want some, there's a hair. I don't want a ton of detail with any of the clouds. I just kind of want them there, you know, kind of like a hint of clouds, because I think I might put a mountain in here. Anyway, it's gonna cover up a good deal of the clouds. It looks pretty good. I'll go with that. All right, now, make sure my fan brush is dried off pretty decent. I got a roll of paper towels here underneath the camera, so. Okay, now I'm gonna grab a little Prussian blue here. I'm gonna throw a tiny little bit of ivory black in with it. And maybe a little bit of titanium white, lighten it up. Because this is, you know, I'm gonna make a little cloud. It's gonna be way, way off in the distance. And when it's real far away like that, I mean, let's see. You want to keep it pretty light, you know, if it's real far away like that. Yeah, something like so. Something like so. And then you can take something like a little 1-inch brush for that, and just kind of pull that color. Just pull it, you know, it's going right through that cloud, so that white that's up there is lightening up quite a bit too. Here, let's add a little more paint to that. I want it to be a tad bit darker. And sharpen that edge up. Of course, the top is really the only thing that's going to have any kind of detail that far away. You're not going to see anything at the bottom. All right, now let's see how this works. Yeah, that's better. That's better. And you can kind of fade that bottom off into nothing. I mean, you just keep poking at it, brushing back and forth on it. Yeah, that looks good. I keep getting these little hairs. Can't come off my brush. It's stuck. Okay, now, I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to go back into some titanium white, and we'll try to do this kind of number here. It'll make sense here in a minute. And just kind of make like a misty type area, you know, because we're going to use that as just to give the illusion of distance. So anyway, it kind of looks like a cloud or something, you know, rolling up, and all you're seeing is that mountaintop way back there, just kind of peeking above the cloud that's going through. All right, cool. All right, now we got that. We'll get, I'm thinking maybe put another mountain in, something bigger, like closer to it, so it'll have a little bit more detail. And for that, I'm just going to take a little Prussian blue, a little ivory black, mix them up, because you know this is going to be closer, so you're going to want it to be dark. Mix them up here on the palette. Get it real nice and flat. You just cut off a little roll of paint like that. Maybe a little bit darker. A little bit darker. Alright, yeah, about like so. And play with it, get some little peaks going. Now with this, the only thing you really kind of want to be concerned with is the top edge of the mountain. Don't worry too much about down here. We'll worry about that in a minute. But and that too, anytime you ever looked at mountains that are off in the distance, they're kind of you see more detail at the top than you do at the bottom because of all the mist and everything. Let's see, yeah, we'll get one more peak right about there. Kind of a funky looking peak, huh? And then when we get all that extra paint, scrape it on out. Get it on out of there. Alright, I'll wipe my knife off. And then you come back, grab, 2-inch brush, 1-inch, whatever you have laying around. You want to take this, you want to get a hold of it, and just kind of give it a pull. And you want that paint to go on ahead and fade out, You don't want any kind of details at the bottom. It's that top part we're wanting to save. We don't want any kind of detail down here, and you don't want that paint because whenever you take your palette knife to put the snow on, you don't want thick paint, because then if you do, it'll just mix up and make a mess and you'll be pissed. Yeah, there we go. Good enough, good enough. Of course I say good enough and I keep going. All right, clean this brush off. Clean it off, all right. And something too, like my little setup, I have a trash bag that I keep my 5-gallon bucket in because I don't know what it is about these color paints. When you mix them all together, it looks like baby shit green, and you don't want that all over your house. I mean, I don't. And that little rack that I have, like I said, it was like a little corner rack that you would put in a cabinet to put spices on or something, and it was just the right size to get down into a 5-gallon bucket. Now, what are we going to do with it? All right, let me get the palette back out and grab titanium white. Just pull it out real flat. Get your little roll, and we're just going to take. And this here is important too because you want your paint to break. So your knife actually isn't going to be making contact with the canvas. It's going to be this little roll of paint that's on the edge of the knife here. And you want to get it up maybe slightly above your peak and just no kind of pressure at all. Kind of bounce the knife around if you have to. Of course, I said I want the paint to break, and it ain't breaking. All right, we'll go with this one. And it's breaking a little bit. a little bit. I don't like this thing off. Get another little roll of paint. I see we got another little peaky right here. Yeah, and let's grab some of that blue color, but that's all right. It can be kind of like a, like a little ravine or something in between the peaks there. We don't know. We don't know, we don't care. Now this, so you take it, move it on around. You see that? And that's another cool thing too, is because you could kind of make this surface join this one, and then up in here we'll have a shadow color. It'll look pretty cool if it goes right. And then we got another one. Boy, we got a whole lot of little peaks on the left side there, on the right side. And then don't want to leave this little fella out. Give him one too. Alright, like so. Maybe go back in. Another thing too that'll bother you. You don't want to have perfectly straight lines. I mean, I know it bugs the hell out of me. So I'm constantly nitpicking my stuff. I mean, but you know, this is supposed to be something enjoyable, so don't nitpick yourself to death like I do. You know, you want to make it fun, but it's a good hobby to have, you know. Let me turn this titanium white over and grab some Prussian blues and mix that up because we need a shadow color. Now we've got what looks to be, you know, the light coming from the right side. Now we got to have a little shadow color to put over here on the left. There we go. Yeah. And sometimes it could be a pain in the ass. It's where it pays to have one of those little knives too. I don't have one, but you know, see, that's too straight of a line, so I'll come back and fix that. Come back and break it up a little. That's one thing I do not like, having perfectly straight lines, because I mean, hell, when you're in nature, you don't see perfectly straight lines too often, or at least not in mountains and hills and stuff. All right. But I'll tell you what, this paint is not breaking, but it's all good. It don't matter. It'll still look decent, I think. You can get a little shadow color in there, a little in here. Then, well, now you can see right here what happened. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scrape that off and come back in with some clean titanium white. Just gonna lay that down, yeah, about like that. And then any spots you have where you feel like a line might be too straight, just, you know, go back and lay some titanium white in there. I'm gonna clean the spot off here. I'm gonna have to load more white on my palette. I didn't think I was gonna use that much. Now the titanium white that I'm using is Winsor Newton, and it's tends to be a little bit more firm than the Gamblin 1980. And that's kind of what you want, you know. You want a nice firm paint that's going to break, although you can see mine didn't break as much as I would like it to, but that's all right. Let me get this real nice and flat. Wipe that shit off. There we go. Now, where was I? Yeah. I've got to put a little wiggle or something in there. Just a little wiggle. And break that up. I don't like seeing perfectly straight lines, that's for sure. Maybe get another one over here. Scrape this out of the way. That quick. And just scrape it off and get it out of there. Oh shit, I just slammed it all over the place. Yeah, I mean, if you have trouble making your paint break, you know, you can kind of scratch it a little bit too. And I think that's about all I need to do with it right there. Let me get my paper towels all sorted out here. That's one thing, this type of painting, you can go through paper towels like it's nobody's business. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, a big old mess going right there. Let's get this out of here. Let's put that little 5-gallon bucket. All right, now we got this going on. I'm gonna just take a 2-inch brush. Make good sure it's dry because I did hit it with some thinner. All right, you just kind of tap along here, and you want to follow the angle too. And you want to tap, 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 tap. And you want to what it'll do is it'll create a misty look when it's done right, anyway. Yeah. Just tap away. I think I might have a little too much paint up there. Starting to make a little bit of mud. All right, and then just lift up. Real light too. Don't put a whole lot of pressure on right there if you do. You know, something like that. And I don't think I'm gonna worry too much about it because I'm probably gonna put foothills in front or something. Find a way to cover that up. Clean that old brush off. All right. See, I can tell you another thing you can do too. It's really not hard to fix anything. You know, this type of painting, like you see something that you don't like or you feel like you messed up, you can come in here, like how these mountains look the way they do. You just come in here with a knife, just scrape all that extra paint off of there. And you hear how loud it is. Well, I mean, I guess you can hear it if the microphone on this iPad's doing its job. Yeah, looks like we screwed that part up a little bit. Now, see if we can straighten that out. Yeah. Something like that. And you scrape that out. How we were tapping in, just tap into your titanium white here. You know, just like this, and at least wipe your brush off before you load back up, because you're picking up that blue color too that we made the mountain with. Let me give it a wipe. All right, that should be good now. Then, kind of like what you would do anyway, you know, if you didn't have too much paint on there. All right, now what can we do here? All right, I think what I'm gonna do is grab a little bit of sap green, and I've got a little titanium white in here already, so it should lighten it up a hair. I think I see a spot to put some foothills in. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Just like a little foothill. And of course they're real light anyway in color when you see them that far off in the distance. Yeah, about like that. Maybe add a little, something like that. Yeah, a little bit of color, and come back here, wipe off. Now from the left side, because you want to give the illusion of planes, and as they get closer to you, you want it to get darker. So this one here, because we got all this ickiness, just like that. And of course we'll probably put a big old tree or something. We'll cover that somehow, some way. And then this here, just like that. I mean, not a whole lot you could do to mess one of these up. I mean, it might not be top quality. I mean, I'm still fairly new at doing paintings anyway, you know, so I'm not expecting to pump out the same quality that some of these guys here on YouTube. There's some excellent painters too. If you guys get a chance, you know, check out one guy I really like to watch on here is I think he's called Paint by Josh. I think his name of his channel. That dude does some awesome work. Definitely, if you get a chance, you know, if you're into watching these kind of things, give the guy a watch, you know, give him a subscription. Alright. See how big of a mess I can make here. That's one thing too, for sure, man. You get in this kind of painting, you're gonna be making, you're gonna be messy. And I mean, you can see your hands, they're gonna be a mess too. And ultimately you end up having to clean them off with paint thinner. Now, so we made our little hill here. One thing I like to do, you want to kind of give you an illusion of distant trees and things. Just grab that thick paint that you laid on, just kind of pop it up. And one thing that makes it look more distant is that you make them shorter. You know, kind of the perspective you want to give us is like it's kind of like making I guess a V shape almost, like it's going further off into the distance. So you make them a little bit taller on the sides, and as you get down toward the middle, make them short. Yeah, about like that. So let's see, what else can we do here? Well, let me go into some straight sap green, Van Dyke brown. Now, yep. Well, you can tell my easel's doing some rocking because I'm pushing pretty hard here. And we get something in the foreground here, just be tree, bush, whatever. And then you want the same color, and you just want to block in. Maybe do a little bit over here. You want that to be pretty dark because you're pushing all that lighter color stuff into the background. Yeah, grab a little Prussian blue too, that'll darken it up quite a bit. About like that. And as you can see now, because you got these lighter colors here, that all looks like it's way further back. This stuff's obviously way closer to us. Now, I'm gonna sit my palette down for this. I'm gonna have to scrub the brush real good. And for that, I'll get a big old glob of big ass mess on my brush right now. I gotta get that off of there. I gotta scrub them real good. I gotta use 2 hands for that because I don't want to knock my little jar over and get shit all over my floor. And that is a little bit loud too, but yeah, gotta do what you gotta do to save the apartment. I do. I want my deposit back, so I ain't gonna make a big ass mess when the time comes anyway. Yeah, all right. There we go. Now, tell you what, I said that maybe we'd have some water in here, so something you could do, just come up, pull straight down, and create instant water. Just like that. And after you do that, you know, wipe the brush off a little bit and then just kind of go across and boom, just like that. Reflection. Pretty cool. Now, all right, I think I'm gonna grab a little 1-inch brush. We're gonna clean that off. It's probably not gonna be as loud as that big ass brush is when you beat it to death. Nope, I was wrong, it's loud. Let me get that wiped off. And what I'm gonna do is kind of grab some of this sap green here and some of this cadmium yellow. I want to make it a highlight color. Or, you know, you gotta thin the paint down too. Mix a little bit of thinner in with this, or if you want, you know, liquid white, you can use that, or maybe some linseed oil, whatever you have. Then you see what you do is you come up just above your little trees that you made. You can see there's lighter colors, so it's basically you're trying to show light hidden. But when you do that, don't kill off all this dark stuff here, these dark colors, because you can't have dark without light. So if you get too carried away, you know, you'll kill off that illusion. You don't have to push real hard either whenever you thin that paint down, because it will stick. You just add that little bit of thinner, and you can start playing with colors too. You know, bounce back and forth between like yellow ochre and cad yellow, red if you got it, just whatever kind of colors. Whatever kind of colors, doesn't make too much of a difference. And then, you know, try to shape them out too. Don't make them all goofy looking. Just let those bristles bend a little bit. Of course, the lighting I have here makes it a little tough on me, so I gotta lean over to see how it looks, or step back a little bit. You can probably hear all that squeaking carrying on going on. That's my drum throne, because I'm sitting down. I don't have a tripod to do one of these videos standing up. And now we can take and drop some of those highlight colors down here into the water. And make it to where they make sense though, you know. If you got a highlight up here, you know, try to pop it down into the water directly under where that highlight is, because other than that it'll look stupid. All right, and then like we did before with reflections, just pull down. And cut across. Boom, just like that. Just like that. Cool. Now, we got to figure out what else we want to put in here. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, since we did so much of it already, we'll just close this little dude in. All I'm doing is I'm grabbing sap green, I'm grabbing Van Dyke brown, mixing it up. We'll make like a little pond here, I suppose. Yep. That's what we do. Just close this whole little area and we'll just make it a little pond and put some little ripples in the water maybe. I don't know. Basically just laying color. I mean, we'll come back and do highlights, but you gotta have your dark color on first. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And you can also take your Van Dyke brown. Just kind of put like a little shoreline back here. A little shoreline. Now you want, just like with those little trees in the background, you want your shoreline to be kind of wider towards the edges. There we go. That's good enough. Good enough. You want it to be wider along the edges and more narrow back here in the back, because whenever you're looking at it, you know, it looks like it goes back further. So it's just giving that little illusion right there. Tell you what. Yeah, let me get these brushes cleaned up a little bit. I'm running out of them. I'm running out of brushes. I'm trying not to splatter this shit all over my living room. Beat the devil out of it. Yeah. And I'd say, the way my painting's looking, the devil definitely in the damn brush. Cause, wow. A little bit of mud mixing going on. Yeah, let's get this in here cleaned out. I gotta clean my fan brush off. I think what I'm gonna do is put a big ass tree. Can't have a landscape, at least have one great big ass tree right there in the foreground. All right, clean this one off. There we go. Get the old diarrhea color all over my damn hand. Wipe that off too. Now, there we go. Yeah, I just gotta clean off this fan brush, because you can make some decent trees with a fan brush. And it's small enough you don't have to beat the piss out of it to get all the paint out. You just wipe it off on some paper towels, you're usually good to go. Just make sure you get that thinner out of there, because you hit your painting with some thinner, and after you put all this color on, it'll make a big ass mess. All right. Going to dark colors, some Van Dyke brown for sure. Now, that boy lives there now, don't he? Sure does. Yeah, clean that back off. And... ooh, yeah. Add a little bit of that ivory black. I want that to be pretty dark. Pretty dark. It's kind of a goofy ass looking tree. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not any kind of top-notch artist. But this is fun. You know, it's definitely one of those things, kind of like music for me. You know, just creativity. Creativity will keeps your mind going. Whether it's music, whether it's doing a painting, or man, whatever it is you're into, you know. It feels good to be able to create stuff. Alright, I think I might have to squeeze a little more Van Dyke Brown because I've eaten it all up. I'm going to squeeze this in here. There we go. Probably didn't need that much, but you know, better have too much than not enough. I don't want to use a palette knife. Yeah, sure, why not? And just like with the mountain, you just pull this out flat, get your little paint on the edge. Yeah. Just kind of define ourselves a little bit. Because there is a lot of paint we went over top of there. A whole lot of paint. Tell you what, I'm going to scrape that off. We'll just go at it with the fan brush again. We just got to get all this off of here so we got somewhere to put it. Yeah. A little tough to do when you have all that paint built up. That's the one thing about wet on wet. And you're going on top of a whole lot of other paint. It can get to be a little bit of a mess. And then of course, the further you get down there, the harder you want to push. Yeah, I want to clean that fan brush out. Yeah. Whenever you get down towards the bottom of that tree, you got to push harder. So it'll bend the bristles on your fan brush and make the tree wider at the bottom, because you make it wider at the top, it's going to be goofy looking. I mean, trees grow just like people. Some are skinny, some are fat, some are tall, some are short, but I don't think I've ever seen one that was fatter at the top than it is at the bottom. I've yet to see that. All right, so you can come back here with a palette knife. Get your Van Dyke Brown, get some titanium white. Just kind of mix it up, because you're going to want like a highlight to the left, or because the light's coming from here, we're going to go with the right side of the tree. Just like so, and kind of just like you would do with the mountain, you know, you just let that paint break if it can. It sure as hell ain't gonna break with me because I got so much paint on the damn top on the canvas here. So, but you know, something like that. Then you can take that same color, add some Prussian blue to it, and give you a shadow color. It'll come from this side here. Ever so easily and gently. And it just kind of darkens it up. Because the right side of the tree is in the light, you gotta have that shadow color in there. Just like that. And then you don't want that ridge right here in the middle, so just kind of take your knife real light, like that. You break up that little ridge that you made right there in the middle. We'll just assume that's a great big tree, you know, because it didn't narrow out a whole lot at the top, but you get the point. And then you get your liner brush, and dip into this paint thinner here. You want to thin this Van Dyke Brown down, almost like, you know, make it as thin as water. because you got a whole lot of paint on the canvas already. You want this to flow. It cannot flow unless it's thinned way, way down. You see it's taking quite a bit here to get that nice and thin. Roll your paintbrush around your script liner. You want to try to get it to a nice little sharp tip. Now, I guess we can put a branch right about here. Trace that again. There you go. Darken it up. Darken it up a hair. And of course, it's one of those things where you could, put as many of these on here, as few as you want to. Up to you. Yeah, something about like that. I'm probably not going to put too many of them on here. Give him some little T-Rex hands. There we go. There we go. We'll put 3 on there so it doesn't look like a T-Rex. All right. Now, it's almost done. Almost done. What else do we want to do here? I'll tell you what else. Take a palette knife, and on the sharp edge of your knife, you can get some of this titanium white and just kind of make some little lines here and some little ripples. It looks like little ripples on the water. And if you make one that's a little bit too thick, just rub the blade back and forth. It'll eventually go away. And another thing too, make sure that these all face the same way, because if you don't, it won't look right. It'll look like your water's tilted or something. Yeah, you don't want that. Then you can put just a couple out here in the middle of our little pond. Kind of makes it look like the wind might be blowing the water or something. All right. What else do we want to do? Yeah, I guess we could put a little highlight colors in here and there. Just get back into what's left of our cad yellow and yellow ochre and yeah, just something like that. Maybe a little touch of that red color. That'll be good. Yeah, there we go. Hell, why use the fan brush? I need to brush for that. And just kind of, drop in the highlight colors, like so. Yeah, it's mud, but that is. That is mud mixing 101, buddy. Yeah, let me get that out of here. That looks like shit. Can't do that. No, absolutely not. First time I ever do a paint video, I'm here making a mess. Oh, where's our cad? Yeah, you get some more cad yellow in here. Because that's just looking like doo-doo. At least we'll make some yellow doo-doo. How about that? There we go. I gotta thin that out a little bit. There ain't no way it's gonna stick. There we go. Much better, I think. There we are. And something else cool that you can do is just kind of grab, you know, just pop up, you know. Makes it look like weeds and stuff that might grow around a pond. But you still want to leave like little dark areas. You don't want to kill all them off because that's that's what gives you your depth, you know. Kind of like you're gonna see there's gonna be shadows underneath different plants and things. So you leave those dark areas in there. That's what that looks like. You know, maybe a few back here. Not too bad, not too bad. Got our sunlight. Be hitting. Yeah. I can tell you one thing though, man. I would definitely highly recommend getting decent brushes next time I make one of these videos. I guess enough you guys like and subscribe. Maybe I'll keep making this, and hell, you get to watch me grow as an artist. They get better along the way, hopefully. That's about all I think I want to do with this one. That's about all. And it's just kind of a quick little painting video, you know, nothing too spectacular. After all, I am a drummer who's trying to dabble in different arts. But probably not too bad. I'm not butthurt over it. I think it's pretty good for the first go around. And just like anything else you ever draw or paint, you know, you got to have a signature. Of course, my name is too long, so I'm just going to put my first and last initial on here. And by the way, my name's not really the Ferg of Doom. That's just that was my gamer tag. Because I stayed in the Stone Age for a long time, and I was playing, I think, Nintendo 64 up until about 5 years ago, and I finally got a PlayStation 4, and it just, the Ferg of Doom, because my last name is Ferguson. I was like, it just sounded funny to me. One thing that's cool with this easel, there's this little tray that kind of protrudes out, so it makes this part a little easier. Just get one little F right there. And then another little F right here. Get more paint on there. You got to thin that down too, quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right, there we are. Now, let me get myself. Wow. Well, that don't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad at all. That's the first time I got to step back and watch, take a look at it, because I've been busy over here rambling, babbling on like a dumbass. And all right, cool, man. Well, I hope you guys like it. I mean, I'm not an artist by any means, but this is fairly easy to do. I mean, you could do this. If I could do it, anybody can. I can't draw a straight line, but it just, it gives an idea. I love creativity. I love watching people's channels who have creativity. I think it's kind of a lost thing with our world right now, and we need more of it. So hopefully you guys that do see this, I hope you like and subscribe. Give me motivation to keep going, right? I mean, I'll keep posting drum videos and stuff like that along the way too. Who knows, man? I got so many different little hobbies and things I like to do that I'd like to share with everybody. Cool deal, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Thumbs up, hopefully, and I'll see you next time.